Mr. Bowtie's Texas High School Sports Machine is driven by Henry Finley and McCombs Ford West, a proud supporter of all area local sports. McCombs Ford West, simply the best.
Hey folks, Mr. Bowtie here. Keep banging home that subscribe button on your screen so that way you can stay up to date on all the great local sports coverage not found on TV or in a cheap web stream. And don't forget to hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Bowtie 1982. It's fast, it's free, and you're going to make my dogs think I'm the best person in the world. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. For the first time since Richard Nixon was in the White House, Phil Danaher will not be a head coach of any high school football team in the state of Texas, as he retired after nearly 50 years as head coach. After last season, most of those years with Calallen, almost 500 wins, and I had a chance to catch up with Danaher for his last media interview before he heads into retirement.
You want to keep these for me? Yes. I bet it's a lot heavier than that. Yes, sir. Your lips bleeding.
I know, I got busted good, but that's okay. I'll take it every day.
Y'all play with
It was a good football game, coach. One more left.
Earlier, they set a lot of kickers, on their passing. They got, last time they played, they got called 2 or 3 times. I don't know what it's going to be like. I'm going to have to go up and sit in the bleachers. First place I went to, Dilley, Texas. And that was just out in the middle of nowhere. And those kids had not really won. They had really had a lot of trouble, and they had a lot of trouble with things like rattlesnakes. There were several times there were snakes inside the school. But when we went out on the practice field, we'd put our arms out like this and we'd walk on the field. We wanted to make sure there's no snakes out there. Before we got there, there was a kid that he got hurt real bad and he didn't make it. He died right there on the field. Of course, I wasn't there at that time. I probably got there about a month or 2 after it happened. So we really had to rebuild that program that way. But it turned out pretty good.
What's that thought when you have all these guys, your former players, your former coaches that have come out to see you and thank you for what you've done for Texas high school football?
Well, the way I looked at that, if those kids, not kids, if those men showed up at this deal tonight, I wanted to let them know how important it was for them to come and for them to travel home safely. But no, I was hoping, going into it, I didn't know it'd be like it was tonight. I mean, my goodness, I don't know how many we had, but it was packed. And they were all really excited about coming up and talking. And I got to shake their hands and thank them for showing up.
What's that like when you're shaking their hands, guys you've played with, that you coach, fellow coaches? What goes through your mind when they're thanking you and they're calling you the legend of Texas high school football and all that stuff? What goes through your mind?
Well, I can't let that go to my mind. I mean, and I think that's, no, I just thought, I was sitting there thinking, looking at these guys that I'm playing against. That kind of gave me a good idea. I got to get ready to play this team. I got to get ready to play that team. So, yeah, it was interesting. I mean, there's so many people, and you go up and shake their hand, tell them thank you for coming, and we appreciate it. We didn't want it to make it about me or anything special or anything really like that. What I really was trying to do is just make it very plain. Make it where thank all the coaches that came up. And a lot of them came from a long ways.
There's some of your memories of this career, because you started Dilley way back in the day, and now you're at you finished at Calallen, and you saw so much high school football. What goes through your mind when you think back to that career, your career of all these years and 400 plus wins?
Well, we're very fortunate. We had some good football players, but we made good football players. And I have a lot of coaches call and they would call a lot of times, say, can we come by and watch your off-season stuff? Because we do have a good off-season. We're very careful about it because we know we're going to be just as good as we are in off-season. But a lot of them want to come and watch our off-season. In fact, not this last year, but 2 years ago, there was 4 college coaches that were there at one practice. They came to watch the game or practice, and they recruited 3 of them. And they said, "We want that kid. We want that kid." And I said, "Okay, well, let's get him through first. Get his grades up." And that was the thing about it is, you got to count on your kids to stepping up. And then some of the things we do are very physical. I mean, like having to climb a 12-foot, thing, and you got to climb with the rope, climb up over it, come over it done. That's tough for some heavy linemen. You don't have to climb that. But they get frustrated, they get mad, and they'll come back and do it again. And they'll get better.
Phil, I know it's going to be strange when this season starts, where it's for the first time since the 70s, for the first time forever that you haven't been on the sidelines. What's that going to feel like when you're a spectator watching your protege coaching and being a fan more than a coach when you're sitting in the stands this year?
I don't know. I don't know how that's going to feel. Personally, right now, I'd like to give up and get back to coaching.
Do you ever think back about how you won so many games, you beat so many teams, but the only thing missing was just never won that state championship? Do you ever think about that at all?
Oh, yeah. We hadn't lost many, but the ones you do, you really remember. And the last game we played, that when I was coaching, I'll remember that for eternity, because that was a giveaway game.
When people look back 50 years down the road and they see the name Phil Danaher and all the wins, what do you want people to remember the most about Phil Danaher?
Really, it doesn't matter to me. It's for their kids. And for the kids who have been there and also set up. When you got kids who have been successful and everything, that influences the other kids coming up. That's very important. They'll go to the locker room, and they'll get in there and talk and communicate. Kids start get where they really like each other and stuff like that, and they become good teammates.